This video is for educational purposes only, YouTube. So over the years, I've had a lot of different genetics, and some of these genetics have made the cut and some haven't. Now, you may have heard a couple videos ago, some genetics that I would never grow again. Ever. Well, unfortunately, there's genetics that I wish I would have kept growing, and I unfortunately lost. In this video, I'm going to be going over 7 of these genetics that I wish I would have cloned, or at least kept around longer. So if you're new here, my name is Rob and we talk all things herb. Today in particular, we're going to be talking about some genetics that I really wish I would have kept around. Of course, hindsight's 2020, but damn it, I wish I would have kept these ones. But before we get into it, I do want to give a big shout out to the sponsors who help make all this content free and support this channel. AC Infinity, one of the leaders in the game when it comes to grow equipment. Whether it be lighting, ventilation, or a whole entire grow kit, AC Infinity's got your back. Use discount code CLtv at checkout at acinfinity.com or CLTVAC10 on Amazon. And also Seedsman. If you're looking for some dank genetics, Seedsman's got your back. Use discount code CLTV at checkout to save on your order. What are some genetics you've had over the years that you wish you would have kept? Let me know below in the comment section. So jumping right into it, you've probably heard me talk about this genetic over the years, and that would be Karma Genetics Headbanger. This one was so gassy, so diesely, so funky. This was everything that a diesel and kush lover would ever want, honestly. It being a cross of sour diesel and biker kush, it hit the notes. It hit exactly what I was after. Now, I did grow about 5 different seeds of this, and out of those 5, only 1 really hit the mark. And don't get me wrong, the other ones were good too, but they were big yielders, but the gas wasn't quite there. It was on the cusp of having the gas, but it was a little too piney and not enough like fuel. So those ones I ended up letting go, but the one that I kept was the runt of the pack, and it smoked the best by far. This one finished in about 9 weeks on average, and it was very, very tasty. Just didn't yield much at all. In hindsight, I honestly do feel like maybe I had HLV with this cultivar. Maybe it just had a viroid and it just wasn't necessarily getting to the point of production that I was hoping it would get to. It did diminish over time. And when I got this cultivar, I wouldn't say I was such an expert in my growing process. I was still experimenting a lot more. And at that point, I really feel like I should have kept that around, just knowing that it was the flavor that I was after the most. It may not have been the best yielder, looking at barely a pound per light, but the smoke was just leaps and bounds better than anything that I had at the time. And honestly, I feel like even still to this day. The only thing that's come close to it was Sowa by Karma Genetics.
You said it wrong.
Now, this is one that I popped once and I let it go. I mean, really just because it was taking about 12 weeks for this one. And it was dank, it was good, and it definitely hit those diesel marks. It just took a little too long to finish for me. And hindsight again, I wish I would have just kept it around. I could have used it as a staggering cultivar that maybe finished a little later than others, and it would have kept me in my perpetual growth cycle still right on time. But for some reason, at the time, my novice mind decided to let that one go and focus more on the headbanger, which just was a rookie mistake in hindsight. This one was a sour diesel from Karma Genetics in 2007, crossed with a BX3 that they had of a Karma Sour D as well. Now, this was a sour diesel as sour diesel gets. It was funky, it was gassy, it was dank, but it just took too long. And I really, really, really wish my patience was better then, because I would have so kept it. Just dumb. But that's how it goes. Grass is always greener on the other side, and sometimes you don't realize how good you have it when you have it that way. And I've been there before in the past, and still to this day now will sometimes take too many clones just to avoid having this situation, but I feel like I'll sleep on one cultivar that turns out being the dankest and I didn't clone it. That seems to just be the case. The next one for me on this list would be Holy Grail Kush, and if you were in the Grower's Gauntlet, you know this is one of my selections. If you grew it, I hope you found the dank one. But this one was gassy, piney, funk, but a little bit more on the pine side. Headbanger was some fire, but my original dank was the Holy Grail Kush, and this one just hit all notes again besides the yield. It was a little finicky, but the production on this one just was minimal. I didn't get much yield, and at the time when I first started growing, big buds is what everybody wanted. That's what the cool thing was. It wasn't the purple triked out bud. It was big fat buds. I want a whole ounce, 1 big ounce bud. In hindsight, that's dumb as hell, because most likely you're going to be having bud rot in that situation, or you're going to be having a massive stem to the center, which most people who were doing any sort of cultivation or let's say retail then knew the stems didn't weigh too much. But when you're talking about like a plethora of pounds, you'd rather have a nice amount of buds that have less stem in them. So bigger buds weren't always my focus, but they were at that time, and that's really why I got rid of the Holy Grail Kush. Just it wasn't big buds, it didn't produce much, and it wasn't anything that was liquidating as frequently compared to others. but it was amazing smoke. And for myself, that's all I'm doing it for these days. So I really wish I would have kept that one. Next on my list is Wi-Fi OG, and this one, if you've watched the channel for a while, you know that Trey and I loved this strain, but unfortunately we didn't keep it around. And the main reason this is because both of us were in the process of moving our grows, changing up from, again, let's say retail to just personals, and the amount of space that we were utilizing at the time just changed. So it really made it so keeping these cultivars and having the veg space to maintain genetics just wasn't there. He grew it, I grew it, but somehow, some way, we both let it go.
I still miss her.
Now this is an OG Rascal genetic. It was one that we got originally years ago when we first started working with a different bank, and they weren't necessarily known for having a lot of name brands in there. So this was their in-house name brand. And honestly, after trying the OG Rascal version of the Wi-Fi OG, it's definitely clear that we had White Fire OG, and it was a hitter. This is a cross of the White and Fire OG. The particular cut that people claim that this is the Wi-Fi OG, and it has that spicy, piney, peppery kind of funk that you'd get maybe from a Gorilla Glue, but then it hits a little bit of notes of an OG Kush, and I really, really enjoyed this one. The Fire OG, I think, is what stood out the most for me, but again, we messed up. We should have kept it. Next on my list of regrets, unfortunately, this episode is just about regrets, would be the Skywalker OG. Another one that Trey and I both grew, and it was some fire, man. This one was that citrus, sour, gassy, rubbery funk. Trey described it as lemon turkey sandwich.
What the fuck?
What?
So it's like a turkey sandwich with lemon, like just, that doesn't sound good at all, but a citrusy, savory, funky dank. It was very unique, and that's one that it's going to be for the acquired taste. For myself, it was just an ugly cultivar. Like, it did not grow good. It was very foxtaily, and it didn't have the best bud structure overall. So I don't want to keep that around, but the flavor of it, if Trey just grew it and kept that around, I would have been all over it all day. I'm not going to grow. I just personally, like, I don't want to grow anything that's that finicky and that foxtaily and ugly, but whew, that flavor was on point. Now, I've had rosin of Skywalker OG since then, and it makes sense that it would be a great washer potentially based on that bud structure and the way the dry sandiness of the structure of the bud is as well. But I don't think I'd want to honestly grow this one again per se. I just wish I would have kept it around and grown it small. It was super tasty and very, very unique. It was one that when people hit it, they're like,
Now this shit right here.
Next on my list would be Regulate by Scapegoat Genetics. This one was a earthy, funky, peppery, dank, and I really, really messed up on getting rid of this one, especially because I'm not a huge fan of the breeder per se, and you know exactly why that is, bud.
The bitch move, man.
But the biggest thing with this one is it was a good grower, it was a good shower. I just thought the grass was green on the other side. I wanted to have different cultivars, and this wasn't hot in the streets per se at the time, and that was kind of my big focus. So it was more the grass is green on the other side kind of thought process here. It was really nothing about the cultivar that made me want to get rid of it. I don't know why the hell I didn't keep it around. Hindsight tells me now to clone more than I need to. It sticks in my head. This was a cross of Nom Nom and Blissful Wizard number 60. You may have never heard of either of these, and I'm not surprised. These are from Scapegoat Genetics, guy from Michigan. Some people have heard of him, some people haven't, but I definitely got to tell you, man, some of these genetics have been fire in terms of flavor, trichome production, and unique effect overall. Would I recommend getting his genetics? No, I would not. But would I recommend trying this if you find it somewhere for smoke? Absolutely. It's well worth it. Some dank. And last on my list is one that I didn't have the pleasure to grow myself in-house, but they did have it at Franklin Fields, and it was probably some of the best smoke they ever had, especially since nobody there who's a part of the team really smokes. But main point being, this Pug's Breath from Thug Pug Genetics was so fire, so unique, and so dank. Just a small producer overall and lower THC testing for them, so they had to get rid of it.
Thanks, guys.
Just a deep, musky, lavender, cookie-ish kind of gas funk to it, but very different, man. It was an indica kind of effect, the traditional indica effect in terms of like lethargic and hungry and couch lock, so it wasn't my everyday smoke. But man, it had like the classic purple smell and flavor, and it was really, really something unique. Now, Thug Pug Genetics has some dank stuff, also like peanut butter breath, but it's hard to find those genetics these days because I hear Gromer's not doing any breeding projects. I don't know if that's 100% true. When it comes to genetics, though, great genetics are great genetics, and sometimes you let these genetics go when you really should have kept them around. And in this case, I do regret it. I really wish I would have kept a lot of these around, and I probably would be a lot happier with the smoke that I've had over the years had I kept these, but I've been hunting and trying more stuff for, the purposes of content and finding stuff for different growers. But I really need to just keep things that I like and grow for myself, because that's where I'm at. The days of being a caregiver and having multiple patients has kind of slowly gone away with legalization, and now I just have my mom who smokes pretty similar to myself. So, with the Pug's Breath in particular, that was Mendo Breath and Motor Breath number 15. It was a unique funk and a unique dank that, there's other cultivars that are similar. But the others on this list, I have not found anything that hits the mark like that. Those flavors are just the nostalgia, man. But that's just the way it is. Sometimes you get really great genetics that you keep. Sometimes you get shitty genetics that you keep. Sometimes you get great genetics that you lose. It just happens.
Well, you win some, you lose some.
And also, if you're looking to get any CLtv merch, the store is officially open. We're already selling out of a bunch of stuff. I appreciate all the Gromies who are jumping all over it. We'll have restocks of the hats. But with that being said, it's your boy Rob from CLtv. Have a great day, even better tomorrow, and stay lifted. Peace.
Are you a grower? Are you tired of lugging around too many bottles? Is it too expensive? Is it so confusing? Tired of reading feed charts? Well, guess what? There is an easier way. Introducing the Stash Blend. You can now get your bag of Stash Blend premium additives that you can add to your garden using just about any base nutrients. Go to stashblend.com and get your order today.